Hi everyone, welcome to English 102. I am Randall Frederick, and to try and get a jump on our first week, this video is going to be going over the syllabus with you. Like I said, welcome to the class. I've been teaching this class for the last 5 years now. I think I'm always impressed by the students who are able to commit to their ideas and develop their writing abilities, their essays. And I trust that this semester will be the same, that we are going to have a good time getting into research, developing our ideas, and putting those ideas forward in an academic and scholarly way with our tone and our voice and our writing abilities. So let's go ahead and get started. You have my name. If you don't have the syllabus up, go ahead and pull that up now because I'm going to be moving through it top to bottom. You have my name. My office is in DVIC 345, and then I've also provided you with my office number. Now, heads up, I will be in my office this semester, but the best way to get a hold of me is probably to drop me an email, and we can set up a video conference one-on-one. Because the majority of my office hours until we until we are in a safer place in the state of Louisiana, the best way to get a hold of me is probably going to be through phone calls and through video conferences, and that's how I'll be conducting the majority of my office hours. So if you have a question or you need to talk through anything, that's going to be the best way to get a hold of me. And then you see my email here. I will only be accepting emails from Southeastern addresses. This is true of the majority, and I would say we are trying to move towards all of the classes at Southeastern, is that the emails are only accepted within the Southeastern system. So be sure that you are using your Southeastern email account. If you're not sure where that's at, it is part of your student account, so log into MyDen and work forward from there into your Gmail account and then use your Gmail account, which also conveniently has a Google Drive if you were not aware of that yet. Okay, office hours will be available online through video conferencing each week throughout the semester, especially around the due dates that we will be having for our assignments. In addition, short meetings before and after class, which respect social distancing, are of course always allowed. In other words, I am going to be very available to you over the course of the semester. If you feel as though I'm inaccessible or you can't get a hold of me, then I would say pull me aside. Let's talk about that, because I am always available to my students. And as we're working through this syllabus, what you're going to see is that I'm not just available to you in an academic way. I also want to be available to you in a personal way. If there are things that you're going through and things that you need to talk about, one, my office is a safe space, and two, I actually genuinely care about you. I'm one of those odd ducks that actually wants to see you grow and wants to see you develop, not just in classes with me, but also in your other classes and personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally as well. So keep that in mind as well. Especially during this first few weeks, what you're going to find is that I might seem a little bit standoffish. One, I think that's just my personality. And two, I think it's just the situation of, living through COVID and trying to respect boundaries and social distancing. So if I seem standoffish, please give me the benefit of the doubt of understanding that it's the context and it's also my personality. But as we are moving through the semester, what you're going to see is that I don't just say that I care about you, I actually genuinely care about you. And so please be patient with me as I'm trying to get to know you and you're trying to get to know me as well. You see a course description here, critical reading and writing. Basically, this is freshman English. This is the last freshman English class. It's a credit of 3 hours, prerequisite of 101 or 121 in honors, demonstration of superior ability on the ACT, development of skills in reading critically, analyzing models of good writing, and writing in response to a variety of texts, including imaginative literature, which we'll be getting into when we start talking about our common read, Life of the Party by Olivia Gatwood. You will also be writing an argumentative essay, the critical essay, the research paper, and the essay examination, which includes both the midterm and the final exam. Some goals of this course is that it's designed to generally expose you to writing techniques, which will be useful to you in future college courses through the different fields that we offer for degrees and diplomas here at Southeastern. And then you see a couple of points where we break that down, that you're going to read and write with texts reflecting a variety of complex purposes and writer-reader relationships, etc., on to the very bottom, where you're going to be writing formal and fully revised essays, both rough and final drafts, up to 12 pages in length, along with frequent informal and exploratory writing. The textbooks for this semester, of course, are going to be the Little Brown Handbook, which is standard text for all 101 and 102 classes. So if you've already taken 101, then you likely already have the Little Brown Handbook in your custody. We'll also be using a primary textbook of Cross Currents in Composition, which looks just like this. I was one of the editors on this textbook, and so I'm very familiar with it. And then finally, we come to the Common Read. You have a photo of it, and you also have a photo of the author in the syllabus with Olivia Gatwood, but again, it looks something like this. It's a short little book of poetry. Let's see how many pages it has. Has about 147 pages, which are very easy to read. You will be reading this, and we call it the Common Read because all freshman English classes are going to be reading it together or in common with one another. So it gives us a text where we can all get on the same page, quite literally, with one another, and read it, explore it, analyze it together. So if you know anyone who is in this class or is in another one of the sections with me, or is just even in another 101 or 102 class, and you met them at orientation, or they're your cousin, or whoever they may be, we'll be reading this book together. So y'all read it together, talk about it together, trade ideas of, especially if they're in other classes, about, what their instructors are saying and what I'm saying, and, let's come at it together. Bit of advance warning on this is that Gatwood does explore some pretty mature themes. So this is not something that I take lightly. I take it pretty seriously. There's a reason why a poet commits their ideas and their images to print. So it's not light stuff. So if you're looking at it and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that. Well, that's a normal response, but let's try and move past that to a higher degree of analysis, okay? You see, some new statements have been added to this syllabus. Some of them were added last year, and some of them I have committed to print for the first time this semester. So you'll see a syllabus statement that this class requires that students submit all of the major assignments, including the required essays, which include 3 essays at the 102 level, the midterm and the final. In other words, what that means is that for whatever reason, if you do not turn in one of the 5 primary assignments in this class, which is going to be Essay 1, Essay 2, Essay 3, the midterm, and the final, if you don't turn any of those in, then you automatically fail the course. Failure to deliver all of the course materials results in an automatic failure of the course. So, worst case scenario, for whatever reason you forget one of the assignments. You forget to take the midterm. You've done very well on essays 1, 2, and 3. You take the final and you do well on that. And then lo and behold, you've done well on 4 of these 5 assignments and you just forgot to take the midterm. And you fail the course. Even though you're doing well in all the assignments, you failed the course. Well, how did that happen? Well, it happened because you didn't take the midterm. So you want to be sure and turn in all of the major assignments. Another addendum that we've added here is that the departmental final also includes what we call the portfolio review. Now, the portfolio review is all of those assignments. It is going to be Essay 1, 2, 3, the midterm, and the final. Because what happens at the end of the semester to keep the instructors accountable, to keep you accountable, to keep the entire department accountable, is that I have looked at your work. Randall Frederick has looked at all of your work, has given you a grade. But to make sure that I'm not inflating the grade, to make sure that I'm still, on top of my game and that I'm grading students well, what the department does is we take all of those assignments that you've done, that the class has done together, and then we turn it over to another instructor inside the department. And then they take a look at it and they see whether Randall Frederick needs to emphasize more things. Let's say that I don't give you enough notes. Let's say that I'm giving you A's when you really deserve C's for whatever reason. It keeps us accountable and it also keeps you accountable. So when we talk about the portfolio review, which we probably won't be talking about that until after midterm, okay? When we talk about the portfolio review, we're not talking about some new assignment that you have to do, okay? We're talking about the assignments that you're already scheduled to do. Essays 1, 2, 3, the midterm, and the final, okay? Finally, we come to the one that I've just added this semester. It's a standing rule that I have, and I have had this for the last 5 years. All of my students have been aware of it. If you've heard anything about me, chances are it's going to be around this. Now, this is a departmental expectation, this is a university expectation, this is an accrediting agency expectation, but for whatever reason, students still want to take issue with this, and so I've now committed it to my syllabus as well. 4 is the floor. What do I mean by that? Any essay that is less than 4 full pages and or which lacks 4 scholarly sources will automatically fail. You won't get notes. You won't get any further comments from me. It'll just fail, period. It will not have a further explanation. Now, students in previous semesters get really upset about this. They say, but I did 4 pages. And I'll say, no, you didn't. You did 3 full pages, and then you did some on a 4th page. When I say 4 pages, I mean 4 full pages. Anything less than that automatically fails. No discussion, no comments, no reviews, no arguments. That's it. You're done. Now, students want to try and appeal this. They want to go to the head of the department. Now, the head of the department knows what the university policy is. He knows what the departmental policy is. He knows what the accrediting agency policies are. So he says, hey, you failed. And students say, oh man, my mom said it was really good. My high school teacher said it was really good. And so they go to the dean. You know what the dean says? The dean says, this is in the syllabus. This is what the department expects. This is what you would have talked about by that point with the head of the department and the instructor. This is what the university expects. This is what the accrediting agency expects. There's no discussion here. Mr. Frederick is correcting that. So that sounds like a really hard rule. From my perspective, it's a really easy rule. Think of it like this. Think of it like a sport. You can't play football unless you first define the parameters of the field. You can't play basketball without first developing and understanding the parameters of the court. You can't be way out there dribbling the ball and say, oh, I made 38 points just from dribbling. No, you have to have rules, you have to have expectations, you have to have the parameters of the court and of the field. So you have a lot of field to play with. So this sounds like a hard rule. It sounds like it could hurt your feelings only because we have established a parameter. And once you step outside of that parameter, we're done. We don't have anything to talk about. It's a foul. You just failed. Okay. In previous semesters, students have tried to discuss, argue, personally insult, professionally insult, challenge, and otherwise object to that rule, including meeting with the head of freshman English, head of the department, and the dean. They have all of them, every single one of them, consistently, all of them, been unsuccessful. All of them. There is no way around this. Any essay that fails to meet the minimum expectations will fail the assignment in entirety without further discussion. Now, why am I spending so much time on that? Because I don't want you to be surprised by it. When I say 4, I don't mean 3.75. When I say 4, I don't mean 3.9. When I say 4, I mean 4. 4 is the minimum. 4 is when you move from F to D range, okay? There are some essays and quizzes here that you're being put on notice for. One of those is going to be Essay 1, as we would have talked about, Essay 2, Essay 3, the midterm, the final exam. Now the rest of the course is made up with in-class assignments, the writing lab, the common read presentation, and participation in the course as well. We have a breakdown of those different assignments, and the one that I think is most relevant, or the 5 that I think are most relevant to you, because they are so important to your overall grade, is that Essays 1, 2, and 3 are the main substance of the course. Over half of your final grade rests on those assignments, and each one of those needs to be no less than 4 full pages and have 4 scholarly sources, which we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. The midterm, you'll see, is not worth a whole lot. The reason why is because the way that I like to think about this is that the midterm is a test run on the final exam, okay? I don't like to put a lot of weight on the midterm because it is important so that you see what the final looks like, so that you see what the layout is. Students in previous semesters with me tend to do well on the final. That's not a promise. That's just looking at the numbers. Students in previous semesters tend to do well with me on the final. Why? Well, because they see that the midterm is a low-risk scenario, that the goal of the midterm is just to get you to see what the exam looks like. The midterm is a final from a previous semester, so they look remarkably similar. They are going to be the same amount of content and the same amount of readings ahead of time, the same amount of essay writing, the same amount of expectations for research. So they tend to be a pretty good and predictive guide to how you're going to do on the final. What does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to take the final. It's not worth a whole lot, but that doesn't mean that it's not important. Because together with the final, it is also worth 20% of your total grade. The final isn't going to make or break you. If you've been doing well, you'll do well, but not as well with the rest of the course, okay? But by the time that my students get to the final, they know what to expect, and they've been put through the ringer of Essays 1, 2, and 3 with me, so they know exactly what we're doing with the final. Now, this all sounds really negative. I'm spending so much time talking about the 4 pages, talking about the 4 sources, and it just sounds like, I'm a mean and terrible person. Actually, I'm not, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to prepare you for success at the end of the course for that portfolio review so that you look good. If you look good, if your numbers are good, then guess who looks good? I do. And you know what that means? That means that if I look good and my students are doing well and they're performing well, I'm going to get a raise. So guess what? That means that if you have trouble in this course, I have a professional incentive to see you do well. You should take advantage of that. I want you to do well, okay? If you're struggling in the course at any point, pull me aside. I want you to do well. I have a financial, I have a personal, I have a professional investment in you doing well. So all this stuff where it sounds like I'm a horrible person, I'm a terrible monster expecting you to write 4 pages and have 4 scholarly sources, well, you're not going to do that until I have already talked to you about how you're going to find those resources and how you're going to put it together, okay? We will be talking about this. I make a point of helping my students get to where they need to be. And I'm going to be honest with you, there have been some students in previous semesters where I'm like, I don't know if they're going to be able to do this. But they do it, and they do it because they're able to walk through those expectations that I'm able to put with them. They're able to look at the resources that I'm giving them, and then they do well. Lo and behold, they do well almost every time. Okay. You see the breakdown of the assignments. We'll be talking about that some more as we're moving forward in the coming days. Then we come to another one about academic integrity and plagiarism. Basically what this means is that if I catch you plagiarizing, we're going to have a discussion. If it was intentional on your part, you're going to have problems. I'm going to fail the assignment. I'm going to try and appeal you to academic disciplinary committee. By the way, I also sit on the academic disciplinary committee, so when I make a recommendation for punishment of a student, they tend to listen. So what does this mean? It means that if you're thinking about plagiarizing, don't. I'm going to catch you. And when I catch you, it's going to be really, really bad. And you're going to cry, and you're going to talk to your cousin, you're going to talk to your mama, and your mom's going to call and she's going to say, but my baby is so good. They're so good in other ways. They go to church every week. And I'm going to say, I don't care. They plagiarized, and now we have to have repercussions for that. We have to have consequences. We have to hold students accountable. Okay. Attendance, which you're going to see in the coming weeks, is that this is a hybrid class, which means that half of the week will be spent inside of the classroom on campus, and half of the week will be spent viewing the class online in some capacity. In previous semesters, what this means is that I don't do Zoom. What I do is I upload a video so that you can watch it at your convenience. And in previous semesters, students have told me that that works really well for them because they can, they can draw, they can sketch, they can mold, they can do the things that they're doing with their art classes, for example, while also listening to my lectures. So I tend to think that YouTube works well because it works well on your schedule. It's what's called an asynchronous model of learning, meaning that we don't have to sync up with our time schedules. What we can do is we can watch the videos. Now, that's not to say that there won't be times when we will be meeting on Zoom, because we will meet synchronously or at the same time together a couple of times throughout the semester, just so that we're all moving together at the same speed and that we're all understanding one another in real time. But for the most part, the lectures will be recorded and then they'll be uploaded each week. Okay, this attendance policy does not release you from primary responsibility to drop the class should you decide to cease attending, to stop showing up on campus, to stop watching the videos. So if you are really struggling with attending class, whether that be on campus or through the videos, first step, talk to me about it. Because if there's something going on and there's some way that maybe you have not thought about, how your situation could be fixed, then I would like an opportunity to hear you out, to hear what's going on in your life, and to plug you into resources. What does that mean? Well, one year what I had a student who her mother had some medical health issues, and so she stopped attending. And so she sent me an email and she said, Mr. Frederick, I know you said at the beginning of class that you didn't want us to drop until we talked to you first, so here I am. I'm telling you I'm thinking about dropping the course. And so I said, hang on a second. Let's have a phone call. I just want to hear you out. I just want to hear what's going on with your life. And then it turns out that what was going on was that her mother was having a lot of medical issues. And I said, well, that's understandable why you haven't been coming to class. Is it possible, though, for you to watch some tutorials online? Like if I recorded this was before all of COVID. If I recorded some tutorials to help bring you up to speed, would that work for you? And she said, yeah, I think that would work, except that I also don't have a laptop. And I said, well, that's great because Southeastern loans out laptops. I said, it sounds to me like either one, you are in a genuine situation where you need help, or two, maybe you're just giving me excuses. And she said, oh no, absolutely. Like if I had my hands on a laptop, we can't afford one because all of our money is going to my mom's hospital bills. But if I had a laptop from Southeastern, then I could definitely do that. And I said, okay, well, let me make a phone call. So I made a phone call, and we got her a laptop because Southeastern also has laptops available for students. So that's something that happened over a year ago. Okay. What I had in the last year is I had a lot of students who, with COVID, were just really stressed out. They were just really depressed. I mean, I had a lot of students like that. Maybe you were like that. And it was just a very different learning environment. I'm thinking of one student in particular. She called and she just cried. I mean, I think she called like 3 different times over the semester just to cry. And I said, I'm here for you. I'm going through the same situation. And so she was very depressed, and so in her situation, I made a recommendation for her to get some student counseling, and that really helped her. I mean, she stuck it out throughout the course, and she thought that she was going to fail the course just because she wasn't showing up to class. And I thought, man, this is an easy fix. This is a student who is going through a lot of mental and emotional health trauma right now, so let's get her some counseling. We got her counseling, and she did the class, and then she moved into my American Lit class this coming semester. So what I'm saying is, like, attendance, I understand. I'm a human being. I try to make myself available to you through different mediums and different formats. If attending class proves a problem for you at any point in the semester, give me a call. Drop me an email. Let's talk. If you're having mental or emotional health trauma over the semester, if it's just feeling overwhelming, if you feel like you're getting behind in some way, not just in my class, but in other classes, let me know, because I can drop an email, I can make a recommendation, I can tell you what some of the services are at Southeastern, okay? Participation and cell phone decorum. Cell phone decorum is basically when we meet on campus. When we're meeting inside of the classroom. Please don't use your cell phone unless I'm asking you to, because I will be asking you to bring your laptops, to bring your cell phone. Every time that we meet on campus, I want you to bring your laptops if you have them. I want you to bring your cell phones if you have them, but please make sure that your cell phones are silent, because it distracts, because we're trying to compress an entire week of meeting with one another into 1 hour. I don't think it's too much to ask that your cell phone is turned off and that I have your attention for that hour. Okay, you see some special considerations. If you're a student with a disability seeking accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Side note, my brother falls into this situation, so there's no discrimination here, okay? Then you are required to identify with the Office of Disability Services, which is located in Mims Hall, room 117. No accommodations in this class can or will be granted without documentation from the Office of Disability Services. In other words, if you need a little bit of help and you know that coming into this class, get me that form so that I can see what your specific needs are going to be and so that I can work with you. That's basically what it means, okay? I take my responsibility to teach you very seriously, and I hope that you will strive to do your best in this course. Please see me informally, meaning outside of the classroom where other eyes and other ears are, if you begin to struggle with material that we're covering. And finally, I reserve the right to change the content of the syllabus at any time to fit the course objectives. So you're going to see a schedule outline here, but each class is unique, and so sometimes we don't fit with that schedule the way that it's laid out in the syllabus, because I need to be able to read the room. I need to make sure that you're all with me, that we're all moving together at the same time. When I do change the syllabus, 1, I let you know about it, and 2, it's always in your favor. It's never been a gotcha situation where I start throwing things in there that you were not made aware of, or which will harm you, okay? You'll also see a notice here about the Writing Center, which is available in room 210 of D. Vickers, and that is where you can take all of your essays, and all of the tutors that are there they know me, they know the expectations of English 102, and so they're able to help you out. I was also a tutor in the Writing Center. I know their services well, and use of the Writing Center may help your performance in this class, as they are a knowledgeable group of students who can help navigate you to important resources and material covered in the textbook. You'll see a basic grading rubric here, which is very general and vague, and then you start seeing me break this down some more. So we have the 2008 departmental standards that were put forward, explanations of what makes for an A paper, what makes for a D paper, what makes for an F paper. But then we come to my in-house scale, which means that there is a 5-axis grading scale for you. Thesis, spelling, grammar, punctuation, use of MLA, the content, and finally the research. You'll see an explanation of that. Then you see a funny meme here with the dog about when a student talks to the instructor, me, versus when you talk to the head of the department or talk to the dean. And so with me, you're the ugly dog. But when you talk to the dean, you're like, oh, but I'm just trying so hard in this class. Well, yeah, the dean knows that, and once the dean talks to me, they begin to see that there's a whole other side to you. So I just thought it was funny, thought I would include it. We come to the schedule for the class, and then finally we come to the schedule for the university, where you see some very important dates, specifically about textbook rental and returning your textbooks, 2 of the holidays that we're going to have over the course of the semester, spring break and also Mardi Gras break. And then some final examinations. If you do not have a calendar out yet, you probably want to get your calendar and you want to mark down that final examination for this class will be on Monday, May the 10th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So go ahead and put that in your calendar. Final exam will be on Monday, May the 10th from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. Okay, we have a lot more to cover and a lot more to talk about. This is just the syllabus, but I wanted us to have a jump start so that when we meet for the first time, we already have some of the material covered and we'll be further along where we need to be. Okay, I look forward to meeting each one of you on campus. I look forward to hearing from you through email and through our forum posts. And I just look forward to the semester. I'm feeling really optimistic about this year as we're starting 2021. I'm feeling optimistic about my classes. I always feel optimistic. And for the most part, I tend to be pretty happy at the end of the semester because my students tend to be happy as well. So I hope that you are with me in that. I hope that you are starting this semester in a good, positive, light way, and that we can continue with that general attitude of happiness and positivity. Okay? Again, one last time, I look forward to meeting each one of you, and I look forward to learning more about you as the semester goes on. Okay, bye-bye.